What is going on YouTube? Welcome to the channel and/or welcome back to the channel. Either way, I hope you're doing super amazing. If you are getting welcome back to the channel, you've probably noticed I'm not in my normal spot with my normal whiteboard because this is not going to be a normal video that I am doing. In this video, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be talking about the correct way to do lunges and the incorrect way to do lunges. And I am probably the worst artist slash drawer you have ever come across in your entire life. So rather than me trying to draw stick figures on a whiteboard, I thought I'd rather just show you the correct way and the incorrect way to do lunges. All right, so that's first and foremost, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Most people have trouble with lunges because either A, they bring on knee pain, B, they just have no clue how to do it correctly, C, they're off balance, that they can't find their balance, B, I think it's D, they can't get low enough. So there's various different things that people struggle with. In this video, you are gonna leave this video knowing everything about lunges you could possibly know in order to either modify it for your correct way, or how to get lower into your lunge, or how to stay balanced, or how to prevent knee pain and help with knee pain. Every single one of those things is going to be covered in this video, right? So gear up. I will say this before we dive into the video. Lunges sometimes can bring on knee pain. That doesn't mean lunges are inherently bad. It just means that you either are A, doing them wrong, or B, you might just need a modification. So before I go into other things in this video, what I'm gonna tell you first and foremost is, I'm gonna link an article here I wrote below on my website where I gave basically the best workout program for bad knees. So if you want to go read that article, I would strongly suggest doing that after you watch this video, because that will go over, exercises you should probably lean more towards and exercises you should probably stay away from. And if not stay away from, at least modify them to do them correctly, which we're going to talk about here in this video as well. But if you want to go read that article, it's on my website. Feel free to go ahead there. Again, I'll link it in the description below. But other than that, let's get started with the video. So when it comes to lunges, there's a few different ways you can go about doing lunges. You can do a lunge for more of your quads, and you can do a lunge for more of your hamstrings and your glutes. Either way, there's a few principles that are going to have to happen no matter what, and we're going to talk about those first before we talk about how you can make it either a quad dominant lunge or a glute dominant lunge. All right, so first and foremost, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they get into their lunge and their feet are way too narrow. Like their back foot is right behind their front foot, and they're trying to lunge like this. This is why you have no balance. This is also why your knee probably hurts, but this is number one why you have no balance. Instead of thinking, your feet should go right behind, simply just take your back foot and put it out to the side more. That's it. You have a more stable base. So again, instead of having your feet right next to each other, just put your back foot out a bit more. This way you have a wider base, which is going to allow you to have a more stable base, because the wider your base is, think about it. If you're here, somebody pushes you, you'll probably fall side to side. But if you're super wide in a good stance, if somebody pushes you, you're probably gonna be able to react and stay on balance a bit better. Same thing with lunges. If you're right here, your balance is gonna be all over the place. But if you have this back foot, take it out to the side and give yourself a wider base, that is going to be what I want you to think about, number one. All right, so that's the first thing. So we're getting this back foot out to the side a bit more and giving yourself a wider base. Number two, no matter what kind of lunge you do, no matter anything, your front foot needs to stay flat. So if you're doing a stationary lunge, your front foot needs to stay flat, right? So if you're in this position, I do not want you, I'll show you this way, I do not want you going down and bringing your heel off the ground. You see that? A lot of times what happens is people are going way too far forward and then their heel is coming off the ground. No matter what kind of lunge you do, no matter anything, this base foot needs to stay flat on the ground, because if not, that is going to bring on a lot of knee pain and knee stress on this front knee, okay? So two things so far. You're gonna get a wider stance and your front foot is going to stay flat no matter what else you do. I'll show you from this angle as well. Wider stance, front foot stays flat no matter what, okay? That's two things thus far. Number three, you're probably gonna ask about where, how far back should your feet be? How far close should your feet be? This is what I'll say. In the years of me coaching people, normally people take too close of a stance. So normally people are not having this back leg far back enough, right? Oftentimes what happens is you don't take a far enough step back, so then what happens? When you go forward, all of your weight's being shifted forward. This contributes to your heel coming off the ground, and it contributes to knee pain, right? It also contributes to having bad balance, because if you're so close together, it's that much harder for you to balance because, again, your base is not wide enough, right? So normally what I would say is you're probably, especially if you're having trouble with balance or knee pain, you're probably gonna want to bring this back foot back a bit farther, right? So now, you don't wanna have it so far back that this back hip, like you're doing the splits and you're trying to lunge, but you're getting this super, super, super big, almost like a strain, a pulling motion in this back hip here. If you're getting this pulling motion in your back hip, bring this foot either closer or bring your front foot back a little bit closer to you. But if you're getting such a big pulling sensation in this back hip because you're like this, that's how you know you've gone too far back. So basically there's two scenarios. Number one, either you're too close, so just bring your foot back, or if you're back too far and you're getting this big pulling sensation, then just bring your foot a little bit closer, all right? So that's three. So again, thus far, we've covered, gotta have a wider base, gotta make sure this front foot stays flat, and as far as how far apart your feet should be, you don't wanna have them too close to where you're gonna have a bunch of knee pain, but you also don't wanna have it too far back to where you're overextending your back hip. Find a good in the middle, in between range. Three things thus far, and the fourth one of the most important ones, is this front foot, okay? When you have this front foot right here, this foot needs to stay flat, but you also need to make sure your knee is traveling over your second or third toe, okay? So when I used to train people in person, I would literally put my hand against their knee so they could not go like this, because if their knee went like this, I was gonna push their knee out. So I would literally just put your hand right here inside your knee and make sure you're not going forward and inward like that. You wanna make sure this knee stays over your second or third toe, okay? And again, no matter what else you do, no matter where your feet are, no matter if you're doing a reverse lunge, a forward lunge, this knee should never be coming in like this. That should never happen. That's one of the biggest things for knee pain. Make sure this knee stays out. And again, I would literally put your hand right here and go up and down in your lunge and make sure your knee is not traveling inward, all right? So that's the front knee, and the back leg should, if you can, try to make sure it stays on your toes the entire time, all right? So one more time, this back foot stays on your toes, this front knee does not come in, and this is how a lunge should be looking, all right? Now, let's talk about, now that you've gotten the basics of a lunge down. So to recap, your front foot should stay flat. You should have a wide base when you're doing a lunge. Feet shouldn't be too far back or too far forward, and your knees should stay out the entire time, all right? So 4 basics of a lunge. If you do those things, I can pretty much almost guarantee you your knee pain is gonna come away. Now, let's talk about how to make a lunge more quad dominant and make a lunge more glute and hamstring dominant. And this is especially where, if you're having some sort of knee pain, this can play a big role, because with any exercise, honestly, it doesn't matter. For example, if you're doing a lat pull down where you sit down on the machine and you're pulling the thing down to you, you can make a lat pull down work more of your lats by doing like this, or you can make it work more of your upper back by pulling like this, right? So you can modify an exercise, pretty much any exercise, to make it work a certain part of your muscles, right? So with a lunge, this is no different. If you want to work, let's talk about a quad dominant first, and this is going to be the one that is going to make more knee involvement, right? So if we're doing a quad dominant lunge, we want to work our front thighs. Normally what has to happen is you want to take a neutral stance, all the same things, but you want to make sure that you keep this upright torso, right? So when you go down, you want to make sure you're nice and tall, and your knee is actually traveling slightly forward. You see the angle at which my knee is currently at. It's a bit forward. Your knee can also go over your toe. It's not a bad thing as long as you keep your heel flat on the ground. And if you don't have, if it doesn't cause you a bunch of knee pain, your knee going over your toe is not a bad thing, especially if you want to work more quads. So that's not a bad thing. But using more quads, you're going to have a more upright torso, and your knee is going to travel forward quite a bit more. Again, this is, putting more stress on your knee because your quad connects to your knee, right? So this does sometimes create knee pain for people, in which, if that's you, that's okay. You don't do a lunge like that. You do a lunge to work more of your glutes and your hamstrings, which I'm gonna show you right now. But one last time on the quad dominant, one more time. You want to have an upright torso, you're going to allow your knee to travel forward, and notice your shin angle. Again, your shin angle is at this angle. It's not like this, right? Your shin angle is more forward if you want to work more quads, right? So that's for your quads. And now, for the glutes and hamstrings. If you want to work more glutes and hamstrings with your lunge and probably alleviate some of this knee pain, what I want you to do is, when you get into this position, I want you to have a lean forward with your torso. I'm not asking you to round your back like this, but I want you to have a lean forward with your torso. And I'm gonna tell you why. When you lean forward like this into your lunge, what's going to happen is, I'll show you from this angle first. What's gonna happen is you're gonna create this angle in which your knee can stay more vertical. Now we just talked about, from this angle, we just talked about a quad dominant lunge allows your knee to travel forward, right? In a glute dominant lunge, we want to have this shin angle vertical. So as opposed to this one for our quad, we want to have our shin angle more vertical. This is because it's going to work more of our glutes when we do this and take less pressure off our knees. All right, so when you're doing this kind of lunge, lean forward, keep your shin as vertical to the ground as you can, right? As you can see, I can feel my glutes. As you can see, there's a big difference in my shin angle right here, and that's because I'm having this lean forward. If I was like this, my knee is, you saw that? My knee is automatically gonna travel forward. And so many people try to keep their chest up because that's what their coach or trainer told them. Number one, if you keep your chest up too much, you're gonna arch your lower back, which is gonna hurt your lower back. But again, number two, if you wanna take pressure off your knee, you wanna have a slight lean forward in your torso. Because again, you can automatically see when I have a slight lean forward, my shin angle changes drastically, and that is going to change the muscle in which you work. So one more time, glute dominant lunge, lean forward, and this is going to create a more glute dominant lunge, all right? From this angle, whoa, almost fell. Forward lean, again, knee stays out, so I'm not letting my knee come in still, knee stays out, but I'm having a more vertical shin angle and I'm working more of my glutes. All right, guys, so listen, that was, sweating. That was the difference between a glute dominant lunge, a quad dominant lunge, some things to think about. Again, if you are experiencing knee pain with your lunges, I would strongly consider doing a more glute dominant lunge, keeping your shin angle more vertical, having a lean forward in your torso, and modifying the movement like that. It doesn't mean that you have to stop doing the movement, because a lunge is great for anybody. And again, throughout the daily life, you're probably gonna have to do a lunge somewhere, whether you pick up something or so on and so forth. So when you have the correct form and get stronger at doing it, it's gonna help you that much more. So listen, those are the main differences, guys. That's what, you can troubleshoot your own lunge. Again, if you're having trouble with balance, for example, if your feet are too narrow, make them wider. If your heel's coming off the ground, make sure your heel stays flat. Run back through this video and kind of troubleshoot yourself. But excuse me, this is basically all you need to know about a lunge. Any questions, any concerns, let me know below. And other than that, guys, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know, because I'm thinking about doing more videos like this, because I absolutely love training and I want to help you that much more with your training. So if you want a certain exercise covered or a certain muscle group covered or anything about training, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to possibly help you out. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And other than that, thank you for watching and we'll talk soon.